Hi, good day to you. This is your friend Suleiman Shaibu again with one of our edition of the Entrepreneur Playbook series. Today we're talking about preparing for the half-year retreat. Why would anyone want to think about doing a retreat during this period? Well, in the next few days, we'll be coming to the end of June, and when we do, it's time for you to either conduct a personal assessment or for you to do a review of how your organization is performing. So retreats can either be done internally or externally. But before we go into that, it's important for us to do a quick review as to why organizations hold half-year retreats. And this story makes a lot of sense to a lot of people if I don't share this story with you. So in the year 2001/2002 of the Premier League, Manchester United had a match with a English football team like themselves called Tottenham Hotspur. This match was keenly contested for, and by halftime, Tottenham Hotspur had scored a total of 3 goals. Yes, I mean 3 goals. The score line was 3-0. Then Manchester United came back, and with tremendous work and cooperation among the team, they ended up winning that game with a result of 5-3. They also met again in 2008/9 football season. In the same similar manner, the game started, and it was Tottenham Hotspur that started the scoring. They had scored 2 goals within the first half of the match. During the second half, of course, they went back into the locker room. I'm sure there must have been some shouting matches. Sir Alex gave a new plan of action to the team, and they came back, and again they beat Tottenham Hotspur 5-2. You may recall that game, and you can check out those games on YouTube. They had popular players like Rooney, Berbatov, and Ronaldo. It was a very interesting match. But why am I telling you this story? Because I think there are a lot of business owners who have found themselves in a similar situation where the first half did not go the way they planned. Things just turned out wrong, especially because of this coronavirus pandemic. Some businesses have not been operating for some time. They have been cut back on spending by big corporates, and some businesses have even seen their source of revenue disappeared totally. Imagine schools have been shut now for the past 3 months, so there isn't much opportunity for them to make money as they used to when the schools were open, even though some of them are running skeletal services now online. If you want to now conduct a retreat, there will be a lot of questions on your mind. First question is that, should this retreat be done internally or externally? When we say externally, we mean you've decided to go outside the office environment, to go and do it in a hotel, at a resort, or whichever place you believe is conducive for you to be able to meet your team and brainstorm regarding the retreat. So let's look at the implication of doing the retreat externally and also to doing it internally. We'll start with the external part. If you were to do it externally, it means that you will incur some cost in the area of logistics, getting accommodation, paying for it, providing food, etc. at those locations. Then you worry a little about safety because you're not sure whether the resort or the hotel you're going in has met all the requirements. I'm not even sure now that hotels are open yet, and if they do, they have certain stringent restrictions that they're expected to meet by the federal government. So it's important for you to consider that. You also need to think about issues like social distancing and any other health requirement or concern that need to be met for you to be able to hold that retreat externally. Next thing that will come to mind is, can you afford it? Because now that everyone is trying to minimize their spending, it's one of the things for you to consider. Though there's nothing wrong for you to do the retreat outside the office as long as the numbers are right for your organization. If you choose to do it internally, you have 2 options. Option number 1 is you could actually do it physically in your office. It means that you don't incur any cost for location. All the parties that are required for the retreat can come to the office and have that meeting whilst observing social distancing. But if you are very concerned about your people gathering in one place, depending on the number of people that is involved in your retreat, then you may be considering doing it virtually. When you're doing it virtually, it has its own trade-offs as well. It means you incur money on data for internet. You will have to ensure that all the people that are participating in your retreat have access to power to be able to power their laptop, their phone, or whatever means or device that they're using to join the virtual retreat. They will probably not be able to bond the same way. At least you save money on entertainment or refreshment or during all those coffee breaks that you have. But it's important for you to bear that in mind. The next question you need to ask also is whether the people who are joining this retreat within your organization are situated in places that are conducive for them to be able to participate fully in the virtual retreat. Are their houses or locations where they're joining conducive for them to be able to participate fully with undivided attention? Is it quiet? Is it a place where they can speak openly and freely so that they do not divulge companies' information? So yes, that's something for you to look at. The next question you will ask yourself again is, who are the people you will want at this retreat? The standard answer usually be senior people within your organization. But I need to say that, look, over and above just putting people who are in leadership within your organization to join the retreat, you may consider bringing people who are strategic or who the things they've been doing within the organization is contributing to your company's bottom line. It's a good way of teaching them how to prepare and participate in strategic retreats like you'll be conducting. And it also gives them exposure. It will also give them better understanding why you take certain decisions within your organization. So it's worth considering. Consider it. The other thing you be asking again is, what are the type of topics or the things you should be looking at discussing when you're holding a half-year retreat? We've already said it before that one of the reasons why we hold half-year retreat is to be able to do a review of our performance. So one of the first set of things you do at the review is to review how far you've come against the target you set earlier in the year. How far off or how close, and you also to have the opportunity of discussing the challenges that you've experienced. The natural one everyone will come up with is to talk about the coronavirus, but I'm sure there are some other challenges that have popped up during the past 6 months. You also want to discuss them and find solutions to how to either mitigate, eliminate, or find a way to reduce the impact of such a challenge towards you reaching your revenue target or whatever other goals you have within your organization. You also talk about the changes that have happened during the past 6 months. You also talk about the changes that you're planning that should happen in the years to come. You shouldn't forget also to try and get your team to conduct a scenario planning session where you look at worst case scenario, what things normal, and the best case scenario. I'm sure by now all of us would have seen the importance of why we need to do scenario planning. No one really planned for this coronavirus. It has taken many people by surprise, but I believe organizations who had earlier on planned for worst case scenarios were able to quickly get up and respond the way they should to the virus. There are still some other surprises ahead, and I think that's how life works. So we should spend some time talking about scenario planning. A very important outcome you also too need to talk about is you need to talk about your targets. What targets you've set for the year, how far you've gone, and what you need to do to close up for any gaps that you may have missed during the first half of the year. You will also to make adjustments if you believe that the target you've set is too aggressive, it requires alignment. You make those changes accordingly. I think a question that I get asked every time is, how long should a retreat be? Should it be for a day, 2 or 3 days? I'll say it depends on the type of agenda and how intense and how broad the topics that is under discussion is. Typically, a retreat usually starts on a Friday and ends on a Sunday. But sometimes if the discussion are intense, they could actually spill out to a Monday. except you live in the Middle East, where Friday is not a working day and Sunday is. But whatever the case is, you need to strike a balance and decide exactly where it is, which days are more suitable to you. In the very end, holding retreat is because you want to achieve a set of outcomes. Let's look at some of the outcomes you are looking at achieving when you hold a retreat. The first one is that you need to reaffirm what targets you've set, whether you are behind or you are close to meeting it, or whether you stand a chance of exceeding it. Either ways, you will talk about target and you will reach some agreement as to what you want to do about your financial target for the financial year. You also to agree on the new directions your business is taking. Who will be going with you in that journey? Those who will be left behind, the kind of partnerships you want to sign. You also talk about what kind of health and safety measures you have decided to put in place for your organization, not only for the safety of your own staff, but for the safety of the customers you interact with. And because you'll be working with customers who demand that you meet certain requirements or standards when it comes to health and safety. You will also at the end of that retreat, decide on the number of people you need within your organization. Interestingly, during this pandemic, we see some organization hiring. I have some clients who actually are hiring more people during this time. Why? Because their business is growing and they have requirement for more people. In some cases where people have had to lay people off because of the situation which a lot of organizations have found themselves, you will also be deciding those who will be leaving. That's if you've not even taken that decision even before this retreat. You'll be talking about things like how your company will comply with certain requirements that is required in your industry. Whatever the situation is, it's time for you to take those decisions concerning the future of your business. I will be holding a webinar next week, Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you at that event. You will see the link to that event in the comment section of this video. If you have any questions, please leave your questions below. I will respond to them. Cheers. Bye.